Hello everybody, welcome to 30 Minutes Thursday Tea Time at 3:30. As ever, it's half an hour. You get to know more about a company and how it's adjusting to the revised reality. This time we've got Talia Findlay, Head of Digital at Royal Canin, the premium nutrition arm of Mars. Then we'll hear from two spectacular solutions partners from our portfolio who will wow us with solutions that drive footfall and boost engagement. And I'm also joined by Ben and Andy from Grey Hair Works if my broadband connection goes down. Finally, as ever, thanks to Hayes McIntyre and Lewis Silkin for their support and genuinely useful content and legal advice on help on financial matters, which they'll be only too happy to help you with. There seem to be two conflicting views about changes in behaviour that we've seen since the beginning of the pandemic. And there are those who believe that everything will revert to normal, and those, like your chums at Grey Hair Works, who believe that change will be permanent. Research suggests that it takes an average of 66 days for a new behaviour to become automatic. And recent research from dunnhumby has unearthed some fascinating data points. So since the lockdown in the UK, 55% of shoppers have bought products that they would not normally have purchased. And that's understandable. However, much more interestingly is since then, 42% of those shoppers have continued to buy those new products. And those changes are seen in findings from Kantar, who shared that there are an extra 500 million meals being consumed in UK homes each week. And that would probably explain why people are putting on weight a bit. And despite that, there are 100 million fewer trips to the supermarket in May this year compared to last year. So fundamental changes. And where we're seeing these changes in consumer behaviour, as far as we're concerned, it presents the most fantastic generational opportunities to be on the front foot. But you shouldn't just take the word of a group of gobby grey hairs for it, because even the brain boxes at McKinsey concur. According to them, 90% of senior executives they surveyed believe that COVID will fundamentally change the way they do business over the next few years. And despite that, only 21% believe they have the expertise, resources, and commitment to pursue those new growth opportunities. And luckily, that's where we come in. As I'm sure you know by now, we like to think of ourselves as the wise folk on the left rather than the youth on the right. And what do we stand for? Well, we're a group of people who can help you in these challenging times. We're a group of 50-odd lags. We've all been at sea level with brands, tech, retailer and agencies. And what we do is we embrace useful information by cutting through the crap and finding the gems out there. And what we're about is curating proven solutions from nimble vendors and curating proven solutions and services from nimble suppliers. So enough about us. Today, we're delighted to welcome Talia Findlay. She's the Digital Director of Royal Canin, the premium pet nutrition arm of Mars. In UK and Ireland, Royal Canin has over 200 associates who work in close partnership with retailers, vets and professionals, focusing on the nutritional needs of cats and dogs. For over 50 years, they've focused on innovation to create tailored nutrition for cats and dogs, and their deep understanding of those needs is what makes it possible for them to make the world's most precise pet health nutrition. So Talia, welcome to Thursday Tea Time. I guess that the lockdown has proved to be a bit of a boon to pet ownership.
Thanks, Alex. Well, yes, we're certainly seeing a lot of people getting puppies and kittens during this time and rescues. There are currently about 9 million dogs in the UK and 10% of those are puppies. And certainly where people are at home more, they've had the chance to invest their time in welcoming pets into their families. Interestingly, the Times ran an article last week about the huge increase in puppy prices and puppy demand, where they quoted that Google searches for buy a puppy had increased 120%, according to some research that the Dogs Trust had done. And also the Kennel Club has seen an unprecedented increase in their kind of search of find a puppy tool that they've got on their website. I think from our point of view, it's really important to remember that pet ownership is a really big commitment, and certainly at Royal Canin we support responsible pet ownership and sustainable breeding. There's a lot of research into how pet ownership is good for our mental and our physical health, and I guess at the moment many people are benefiting from this during some sometimes anxious and unsettling moments and stressful times. And not only that, it's a great reason to get outside and just walk the dog, although where I'm sitting, I don't want to be doing that today because it's certainly pouring with rain. But it's important to remember it's not a decision that should be taken lightly.
No, okay. But I must admit, going back to that article in the papers last week, I noticed that some premium breeds like French bulldogs are now selling for £10,000 each,
yeah, crazy
which is
money.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
What's been the biggest surprise for Royal Canin over the last 3 months, say?
I guess it's probably not a surprise, but it's more certainly how the shift to online has accelerated. So it's something that we were expecting, but it's an acceleration of that, which I'm sure many other brands are seeing. And even though pet shops remained open throughout as an essential retailer, as kind of grocery did, so as a shop it has been open all the way through, more and more people are looking to those kind of specialist e-commerce environments, and in some research that Mars Petco have done recently, we've seen a significant number of people shopping online that are in fact completely new to the channel, and looking at that, as you're talking about the forward motion and what's really going to change forever. A report that we've looked at from Euromonitor predicts that the pet care and the household category are going to be the fastest growing online category at plus 12.7% between now and 2025. So for us as a brand, it's harnessing that and really understanding how we can effectively leverage that for now and for the longer term.
Definitely. So you're seeing this behavioural change. Again, based on the point I made earlier, do you see or do you expect some of that to be maintained once we return to a type of normality or revised reality?
Yeah, and I think it's a great provocation you made at the beginning. How will this new state remain exactly as is? It's a huge question. I agree with you. I'm surprised if it does. But looking at the specialist pet care as kind of a segment, I think our shoppers now have a much higher expectation of both the product and the product delivery element, but also the services that are associated with the brand. So it's really important for us as a brand to make sure that we're set up to meet those consumer needs and to provide that relevant educational content when they're searching for information on the pet. So as that example of, so I want a new puppy, what information can we give them that really supports that pet owner journey and making the right decision and finding the right breeder. And as a premium brand, we want to enhance that premium offer all the way through that journey. In-store and in vet clinic is a vital element, foundational pillar of our business, and how we support that physical environment won't reduce, but all brands, including us, will need to enhance that service offering to be really where the consumers are. My catchphrase, which my team always roll their eyes at, is that the consumer holds the power. And even now more than ever, we need to make sure that all brands are present both on and offline to be relevant and then ultimately successful.
So do you think that the pandemic has made things happen faster, and is there an increasing willingness within the company to embrace that change and accept that digital is increasingly the way ahead?
Yeah, and I think for me, I love that Justin, I don't know how to say, Trudeau's quote, the Canadian Prime Minister, of the pace of change has never been this fast and yet it will never be this slow again. And he wasn't, when he said that, talking about just digital transformation, but that really resonates. And he probably stole it from someone else as well, but that really resonates with me, because I think we need to expect things to speed up personally and as a business, and definitely as a brand. And this time's been interesting because we've had this weird kind of dichotomy, a strange time of where we've been able to really slow down personally and reflect on what's important and really question the pace of life and what do we need to, where do we need to invest our energy. However, I don't think there'll be a long-term shift in that appetite to reduce the speed and the expectation. And I think the convenience element will be even more important to people, as we've now recognized how much time we spend rushing around, headless chickens, busy fools. So we want to spend quality time doing what we love rather than all the kind of domestic chores that used to take up so much time. So I think people will choose speed where it counts, and that as a brand, we need to kind of match that expectation.
Okay. And in terms of new business models, D2C initiatives, what are you seeing there? Do you see any changes in internal attitudes?
Absolutely. And I think as you mentioned at the beginning, there's a definite willingness at Royal Canin to focus on innovation. As a brand, we've been innovating with our products for over 50 years. It's all about innovation for us in terms of meeting the needs of the pets. That shift now is definitely starting to be around innovation through our services and as new models. And I'm not saying we'd be rolling out a D2C model tomorrow overnight, but new models are definitely being investigated. And it's predominantly around, with that, how do we support our customers, the retailers, the vets, etc., and our professionals, but also how do we reach that pet owner kind of cohort through a really innovative approach which supports our innovation through our products and continues to be a really core area of our business.
Understood. So, I mean, I suppose finishing off, it sounds as if digital is becoming more important, but at the same time, you can't afford to ignore what the mainstay of your business is, which is the independent retailers and the professional vets. I think maybe now is the time to bring Bill in on this, if I could.
Cool.
Bill Scott runs International for Vibes, and they're perfectly placed as a business to drive footfall and engagement in a post-lockdown world. Bill, if I could pass on to you, I just need to get the screen up again. Bill, over to you.
Okay, thanks, Alex. Thanks, Talia. Well, Vibes is a major provider of mobile CRM and loyalty services to enterprise retailers, and we'll show you some examples as we go through here. Frankly, we find that this COVID situation is simply exacerbating CRM productivity issues that retailers were facing previously. And the main issue is that traditional CRM productivity is flat. So if you look at this slide at the bottom, you have sort of broad reach channels like email, web, plastic loyalty cards, newspaper advertising, social, till, coupons, this sort of thing that have very broad reach, but limited engagement, particularly on mobile. And the rapid growth and high prices of retargeting are simply proof that your existing CRM channels are not performing. On the other hand, at the top of the pyramid, you've got your app, if you do have an app. But likely, it gets good engagement, but it doesn't cover more than about 20% of your consumer base. And so if you look at Boots or Holland & Barrett or Shell or Costa Coffee or any of these companies who have good apps, they still typically don't cover more than about 20% of the CRM base or the loyalty base. So they're great, but they have very narrow reach. So what we find is that new mobile channels, such as mobile wallet and SMS, that were accelerating before COVID due to this trend, are now red hot because they perform. And we can talk about some examples of that. And so Vibes works with enterprise retailers who understand this. And there was a few logos on the slide here of our customers. And so, for instance, the next slide is an example from Ralph Lauren. This is if you go to any Ralph Lauren outlet store here in the UK, you'll be given an opportunity to join their mobile CRM, which now makes more money for them than their email program. And so the kinds of consumer journeys that you can put together with these new CRM channels on mobile are on the next slide. Alex, you could go to the next slide. There we go. Okay. So for example, someone has signed up, as you would have done in that example with Ralph Lauren previously, and then the consumer receives an alert on her phone for the new season's collection. She shops online, but then she abandons the cart. She receives a text alert with an additional discount, and then she either buys online or she takes the mobile wallet pass into the store and picks up the item through a click and collect process. So these kinds of flows are really helping to drive additional sales, particularly in the COVID environment. And my last slide here is simply data from one of our customers. So these folks have, using these kinds of tactics, have built up over 2 million folks in their mobile CRM. We have driven at least $261 million in annual sales directly attributed to this kind of program, with an average revenue per message of about $1.71. So the ROI numbers are pretty indisputable. And yeah, so that's what I had. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Bill, thank you. Talia, Do you have anything you'd like to ask Bill?
I definitely do. Thank you, Bill. And I'm already a fan of the Ralph Lauren element of that. It's a really interesting solution. So what kind of tactics are working well, given that retail are now starting to reopen during this kind of reopen recovery phase?
Yeah, actually, the thing that we're getting the most calls about now is how do I deal with people when they're queuing up to wait and get in the store? Because Sephora, which is one of our customers in Asia and in the States, their primary complaint was that I get 100 people coming into the store, 20 of them may buy something, and then 80 of them leave, and so I'm not collecting any data on that 80% of my users. And that gets even worse if you're afraid that people will just spin off and get frustrated and go away because they're waiting in line, either at the point of sale or outside on the street. So giving the consumer a way to opt into a quick, easy mobile program while they're waiting, and perhaps take an e-commerce offer away with them in case they don't want to wait, has been extremely popular. And I think that's one of the main things that we're seeing that's working well. Yeah.
And I guess then, to build on that queuing kind of element, how are you kind of helping to address those health related issues in terms of, people in store? Is there anything that Vibes is looking at from that perspective?
Health issues, yeah. Well, one thing that, and this gets back to Ralph Lauren, they have tablets in store where you get to the end of the checkout queue, you're at the point of sale, and there's a tablet where you either sign up or enter your email in order to register your presence to get a discount, which you may have been emailed. So it's like a customer ID program. Now, you don't want everybody coming through to be handling that tablet. They had previously launched the mobile program in order to diversify the sign up and registration process to the phone so that they reduced checkout flow congestion. But now with the health issue of everyone handling the tablets, they're pushing the mobile acquisition logistical format even harder because it simply prevents people from cross-contaminating at point of sale.
Cool. And I guess just a quick one in the broader context of, hopefully some kind of normality resuming. How does Vibes kind of fit within the retailer's generic marketing stack? How does it all kind of hang together?
Yeah, so basically there are two options. The retailer can launch the kinds of things that we do independently with, literally no integration with their existing marketing stack just to get something up and running. And so Jules, for instance, which is a customer here in the UK, has pretty much done that. The person texts in, they get an offer. All we need to do is upload a CSV file of coupon codes and you're done. Or you can drive e-commerce offers directly through the text broadcasts, to the website. So there's no real integration required. It just is a great additional way to get people's attention. Folks like Ralph Lauren, Sephora, Lego, Home Depot, Dick's Sporting Goods, these folks have got deeper integrations with our platform because they want to run the management of the CRM programs or loyalty directly from their platform, sometimes versus from ours. So yeah, it's pretty much optional how you want to do it.
Cool, thank you.
One quick question for you, Bill, before we move on to Caroline, is the slide in the background with the 261 million in sales.
Yeah.
I seem to remember you were telling me earlier that retailer is now actually generating more revenue from its mobile activity than from its email activity. Is that
Yes,
right?
that's right. They've got 2 million people in their mobile program, as you see here. They have about 6 or 8 million people in their email program. And sending out email blasts to people generates less revenue than sending out a periodic text message, perhaps once or twice a month.
Cool, that's brilliant. Bill, thank you very much indeed. And now I'd
Sure.
love to bring in Caroline, who's the Chief Revenue Officer at Prometigo, another of the companies in our portfolio. Prometigo specialises in helping brands and retailers better engage with customers. Caroline, it's great to have you here. Welcome on board.
Thank you very much. Hello, this is me. This is my my baby. One of my babies. I've got some unfurry ones as well. Do you want to go on to the next slide? So I want to tell you a bit about Prometigo, which is a platform that helps people deliver promotions. I've got a background in marketing. I've worked with companies like P&G, Kellogg, Nestle, and I believe that digital promotions are the next big thing that marketing leaders need to engage with, which is in itself a ludicrous claim because we've always thought of digital promotions as being very tactical, the kind of thing that you leave the markets to do, or maybe it's done by a younger team within the organization. But we believe that promotions offer a really new strategic value in terms of the ability to collect first-party data. And you talked a bit about a greater need to be able to think about how you connect with directly to the consumer. And obviously to do that, first-party data is becoming more and more important. With that, you get a massive risk. We've already seen the EU hand out nearly £500 million of fines on GDPR, and that isn't going to be going away. So the idea behind Promotigo is to help our clients get a whole suite of capabilities that enable them to integrate data, to have consistent global views, and to make sure that that data is managed in a really compliant and secure way. If I tell you a little bit more about it on the next slide, basically we say it simplifies, scales and secures. It's a platform and it simplifies the back-end delivery of promotions. So whether you're doing competitions, sampling campaigns, coupons, the platform automates that entire process. It's fully GDPR compliant. And we also have a great dashboard that offers real-time view of all your metrics. So you can always see how many people have actually entered a promotion. If you're running samples, we connect with the warehouse, so you can see how we're fulfilling. If we go on to the next slide. We've got really strong scale. We're already in 53 countries. We've got another 32 that we're delivering this year. And there's a number of really well-recognized brands. So Unilever, one of our clients, we work across their brand portfolio. We also work with McDonald's, companies like Starbucks and Henkel with Schwarzkopf. And if we go on to the next slide. So this, I think, is my final slide. So what we're seeing is that we're able to help our clients get better results because now they have real-time campaign management and insights on how their activity is performing. It simplifies the low-value work that their agencies are doing. So now their agencies can focus on being creative. And obviously through doing that, we can deliver savings on non-working. It delivers global scale, but because it's automated, because your markets can log in and create their own campaigns, it actually helps your local markets be more agile, which I think is a really important tension to resolve. We've got loads of experience. The company was built out of 2 agencies who had over 20 years of managing digital promotions. It's fully secure, fully compliant. We've won the trust of some major brands. And we're helping our clients build better promotions, which ultimately is delighting their consumers and building long-term brand value. So that's us.
Caroline, thank you very much. Talia, any questions?
Yeah, definitely. And thank you, Caroline. It looks like a really powerful tool. You talked a bit around the GDPR piece there. Are there any specific data risks related to promotions in general that are solved through using this?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you know, I think one of the things that often happens when we talk to clients is we say to them, you know, are you aware actually, especially the multinational clients, are you aware of how many promotions you and your markets are actually running? And are you aware of what's happening with all that data? And generally people tend to go a little bit pale when we ask that question because the reality is often marketing teams know that there's lots of activity happening, but maybe they haven't really got full sight of which agencies, which internal teams are really processing that data. By managing your digital promotions in the platform, you know that all of that data is GDPR secure, that we're only the people who need to see certain elements of the data get access to it. And if it's being moved into a CRM, if you've got opt-ins, all of that happens in a fully secure way. So it's that real control over who sees what data, what access they have, and how it's managed that means that you're meeting the GDPR standards.
So in terms of how it actually works, do you then build the promotion website on the top, or how does it actually work?
So that really depends. So the platform's a back end, you know, it's a bit of technology that sits behind your website. So generally what we do for most of our clients, they already have a website and we just send over a single line of code that can be dropped into a page and that triggers the promotion. And it reads the design of your page, so it already automatically formats itself into your website. We do have some clients who maybe are doing a smaller number of campaigns or they want something outside of their normal website, and then we can build microsites for them very easily. We have standard templates, but generally it's more people are plugging us into their website, and it's, as I say, a very simple integration. It's a line of code.
So with that in mind then, how long would it take to typically get, I know typical, how long's a piece of string, but to get a live campaign kind of working?
Yeah, so I think, I mean, generally, if you know, certainly in my background, if I was working with an agency, at best I'd be planning sort of 2-3 weeks to get a microsite and a campaign live. With Promotigo, if we're just doing a one-off campaign, that's generally 2 to 3 days. And actually a lot of that time can be getting the approvals through legal. For our clients who take a license on the platform and we fully integrate it into their systems, they can create campaigns in under an hour.
Wow. So in this accelerated environment, sounds like quite a good option.
Yeah, in fact, we had a lovely COVID case actually. It was one of the hair care brands called us and said, we're seeing a massive increase in traffic to the site of women wanting to know how to colour their hair because the salons are closed. And can you help us? And within 3 days, we had a microsite live for them where women could come in and enter to get one of a series of one-on-one consultations with a colorist. So they connected the colorists who weren't able to work from the salons directly with consumers. And it was a really nice execution. We were able to turn around super fast for them. And they knew all the data was handled really securely, and they weren't running any risks by building out this solution. So
I might need to get that link off you afterwards. And Alex, maybe as well.
Oh, definitely, yes. Perfect. Well, listen, thank you so much for that, Caroline. And everyone else for attending. Thank you, as ever, for joining us. I think what we've picked up today is certainly from Talia. I think it must be very encouraging news for her that pet care is forecasted to be the fastest online category over the next 5 years, and her strong belief that the consumer holds the power. And interestingly, a large number of pet owners are beginning to shop online for the first time and are new to that channel. From Bill at Vibes, we heard about how the mobile device is increasingly becoming the remote control to get more people in store and helps them engage with your brand. And then finally, we heard from Caroline at Promotigo, who's shown the strategic value of voluntary first-party data and how it can power compelling campaigns to drive market share across the world. Our next event is actually in a month's time, on Thursday, July the 16th at 3:30. We've got a big brand. We're just finalising the details at the moment, so I can't tell you who it is, plus 2 solutions partners. And we'll also be announcing a major new initiative, which we've been working on for the last couple of months. As ever, if you want to speak to us or if you need our help, just contact us the usual way, either using our email addresses or bingo@greyhairworks.com. And as ever, as well as thanking our speakers, I would love to just show our gratitude to Lewis Silkin and Hayes McIntyre for their support. And once again, thank you everyone for attending. Look forward to catching up with you in a month's time. Thank you.